Oven cleaning, one of the hardest things that we do. You come in the morning, you look at your work order, you see there's an oven on there, and you want to go home. It's difficult, but we're going to make it really easy. We're going to make sure that you can fly through it and get on to cleaning the rest of your house. So right behind me, we have a really dirty oven, and we're going to clean it as fast as we can. Okay, let's talk supplies. So we have oven rags. We don't want to use our high quality microfiber, all of it's statically charged, and if we put it in an oven, we're going to ruin it instantly. So you can see I have a cut up shirt here, basically anything I have that's going to soak up this grease. Next up we have a deck brush. If you have a really easy to clean oven, we might use this a little bit. Typically we won't, but I left it out anyway. Razor blade, definitely going to need this for a hard to clean oven if we have any stuck on grease. Pumice stone to get those last bits up. Grout brush to get the hard to reach areas. We have our Green Seal certified all-purpose cleaner, non-toxic. It's the stuff that we use all day, works really well. And lastly, and most importantly, to make this easy, we have the most harsh and toxic product that we have at Alpine Maids, our Easy Off oven cleaner. This is going to make easy work of cleaning this oven, so let's get to it. Okay, before we get started, engineering controls. So we want to make sure that we're opening up all of the windows in the home that are near the oven. So let's go ahead and open this window up, get some of this breeze in here. Go ahead and open this one up as well. And that should give us enough ventilation to make sure that we have this area safely cleared up. Okay, so assessing this oven, if we look down here, we can see there's a ton of really caked on grease buildup. We don't ever want to miss in this crack right here, tons of crumbs, tons of grease that's dropped down in there. We have a really dirty oven right here. So first things first, let's grab these racks and get them in the sink. So let's say this client had a copper sink or any kind of really delicate looking sink. We wouldn't want to do this. We would just clean them in the oven with Easy Off with everything else. But in this case, we have a nice stainless steel sink. It's already kind of scratched up, so we can go ahead and use it. Opening the cabinet, there we go. That was easy. Drain plugs right here. Let's get that in there, and even better, they have some Dawn dish soap sitting right here waiting for us. So racks in, fill this up with some hot water and a little bit of Dawn, just a little bit, and we're gonna let that guy soak while we hit this oven with some Easy Off. So before we really get to cleaning this oven, let's just do a preliminary cleanup and make our job a little bit easier. So pick some all-purpose. There's just some big chunks of stuff down here. We want to get this crack cleaned out, all the crumbs. And so I'm going to take an oven rag and just get up all this big stuff, right? So we don't want this soaking in Easy Off and making our job a lot harder. So I'm going to grab all this, come over to the trash can, which usually is pretty close to the oven in a home, and just get that stuff in there, right? And just a little bit more. Right, and there's only so much that you can do with this. Oops. So this oven, we got kind of lucky because it has this grease strip over the electric coils, so we don't have coils getting in our way down here. You can see I just kind of popped it out a little bit, which is gonna happen from time to time, but no big deal. So once again, I'm gonna get a little more in this crack in here and do what I can to get this kind of gummed up. If I can get it toward the center, it's a little easier to pull out. And man, it has been a while since this oven was cleaned, but fortunately it's only going to take us a little bit more effort to get everything completed, because in the next step the Easy Work's going to do most of it for us. And there we go. So preliminary decrumbing complete, and now we have a really good slate to work on. Okay, so after all that, we're finally ready to start with our Easy Off. So again, gloves, goggles, I have my windows open and we're ready to go. We're gonna get every square inch of this thing. So starting at the top up here, I wanna make sure I get the oven light, just every single bit of this oven I'm gonna get with Easy Off. We're getting the sides now. There's some caked on grease dripping down, and I can already see it starting to melt. You can see some of the fumes floating around in here, so don't get your head too close. We spray it a little bit around the fan because that's something we just can't get to. Not every oven has a fan, but if it does, make sure that we're not just spraying it directly in there. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get it out. When the client starts their oven, it's going to smoke up and they're going to be terrified. So now I'm going to cover the base. I'm going to get it pretty good. You can see in the last shot how much caked on grease we had down here. So I'm really going to cover that. Get the window. The door of this oven's not too bad. I'm going to get a little bit in the crack in this oven because it is a tight seal down here. There are a lot of ovens that there is no seal at the bottom, and our Easy Off will slip between this crack and it can ruin the floor. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take that rag that I used in the last video and figure out, let's see, it looks like in here is the best place to put it. I'm going to shove some of these rags down in here so that we're making sure to catch any drippage and that we're not ruining the floor in our client's home. So, got those in, close the oven, and now we wait 1 hour. Okay, at this point, it's been sitting for about an hour. We had a lot of really caked on grease down here, so just kind of rubbing at it a little bit. I can tell it's gonna need a little bit more than just a rag. So I'm gonna get my razor and just start working on this, and then from there I'm gonna wipe it all up. You can see that I still have my rags down in the crack there to prevent any dripping, and let's get this oven cleaned. Okay, so I got the majority of the grease off the bottom, but there's still some really caked on stuff on there, and at this point I realized I had already forgotten about the top. We don't go too into detail on the top of the oven because it's A, really hard to clean, and B, not as many people are looking up there. So all I'm gonna do is grab one of these oven rags and just go over it, and you can see how much grease I'm getting off. The other reason is not a whole lot of grease really comes up to the top. Most of it gets on the side, on the bottom. So the top's just part of the oven that we don't have to worry about too much. So it makes for a quick wipe down. I really want to get the light. That's the most important part, right? Is getting this light clean, because that is what the customer is going to notice. If we come in and clean their oven and their light is dull and they still can't see it, they're gonna think that we didn't try too hard. So make sure I get every square inch of this. I'm getting under the electric racks here, and then I'm gonna move on to the sides. All right, and that's it for the top. And now I'm just gonna keep on working up the sides. I'm gonna get the front, then we're gonna finish off the bottom. Okay, so at this point, all the easy work is done, and now we're gonna step it up in our cleaning supplies. So we still have a little caked on grease on the bottom, we have some on the sides, and we have some on the front window. So the Easy Off's eaten through as much as it's gonna get through in an hour, and now it's just gonna come down to elbow grease. So as I'm using this Pummie, I'm gonna make sure that I'm wetting everything down with all-purpose cleaner. If we use it wet, we're gonna not scratch anything. But if we hit any of this stuff dry with the Pummie, we could do some serious damage. Okay, so at this point we're just left with some finishing touches. I need to get all of this grit out of here. Before I do that, I'm gonna hit it just a little bit with a grout brush. It won't help too much, but it'll just finish up those last couple tough bits of grease, and then we'll get it wiped out. All right, so all the grease is out. Now we're gonna hit it with all-purpose. We wanna get all of this easy off out of here. If our customer starts this oven in the next 24 hours or so and we leave a bunch of easy off, it's gonna be pretty unpleasant for them. So now we're gonna start hitting it with all-purpose cleaner and wiping it down. We will wanna warn the client no matter what that they should leave it off overnight, but it should be safe to use by tomorrow at the latest. So coming along the top again, and just hitting any last finishing touches that I find along the way. We have all the major grease buildup out. We're coming down to the last spot, so I'm gonna grab a fresh microfiber, not an oven rag. I wanna make sure all the crumbs are out of here and onto the floor for when we get floors. So I got a couple last little stragglers hanging out in there. One thing you can do is close the door, and then if you come down in this crevice, there's usually going to be a little bit of buildup that we want to get out of there. One thing you can do is take your grout brush and get the handle in there and get all that stuff out onto the floor so we can hit it with the vacuum in just a minute. There's that. We're getting the edges along here, making sure that looks shiny. All right, and that's how you clean an oven. So one last thing that I typically do, because we are trying to really wow the customer, is that I'm gonna hit this window right here with a little bit of glass cleaner just to give it a nice shine. And that's all you have to do to clean an oven. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at our final product. You can see the light shining off the glass. We got that nice and shiny. The bottom, all that caked on grease buildup is out of there. We even managed to get the fan looking pretty good. We'll take a look at the sides over here. They're looking great. And this is what the customer is going to be looking at, right? They're going to be checking out the sides. They're going to want to make sure that when they close it, this glass is nice and clean. At some point I did clean the outside of the oven. I have the rack soaking in the sink right now. I'm going to go scrub those up, get them in here, and we are done.